ಬಿಜೆಪಿ ಅಭ್ಯರ್ಥಿಯನ್ನ ಮತ್ತು ಜೆಡಿಎಸ್ ಅಭ್ಯರ್ಥಿಯನ್ನ ಸೋಲಿಸಿ ನನಗೆ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಅಂತರದಿಂದ ನೀವೆಲ್ಲ ಗೆಲ್ಲಿಸ್ತೀರಿ ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥ ವಿಶ್ವಾಸ ಇದೆ.
Hello and welcome to Battle for Karnataka. I'm Harish Upadhyaya. Bengaluru, once known as the Garden City and Pensioners' Paradise, has transformed into a startup and IT capital of the country. There are two Bengalurus now, one with the old world charm and the other with swanky glass facade buildings. What do people of these two Urus want? Politicians are saying Swalpa adjust Madi will improve the city. But are people willing to trust the politicians and political parties? Let's find out. The city of Bengaluru has 28 assembly seats, and the outcome plays a significant role in government formation. But these seats haven't seen too much of a change in terms of the results. 16 of these 28 seats have been held by the same MLAs since 2008. In 2018 assembly elections, the BJP won 11 seats, the Congress emerged victorious in 14 seats, and the JDS settled for 2 seats. But over the last 5 years, the city has suffered. The floods in September last year battered 2 zones of the city and hit international headlines. Companies threatened to move out of Bengaluru. Pothole-related accidents and deaths have become a regular affair. Add to it, the city's public transport, whether it's the buses or the metro, hasn't expanded at the desired pace. The government's failure to hold elections for the city's municipal body, the BBMP, has made matters worse. With the Chief Minister holding the Bangalore Development Ministry, citizens had nobody to approach with their problems. The BJP has traditionally done well in urban pockets, but this time round, it's facing anti-incumbency in a few pockets because of floods and bad roads. Although it has changed candidates in a couple of constituencies, the party is banking heavily on Prime Minister Modi's appeal, especially among the urban middle class, to bail out the party. The party has denied a ticket to Madhepura MLA Arvind Limbavali and has fielded his wife instead. This after his constituency suffered during floods last year, and the resident welfare associations complained against the MLA for not doing enough. Even Housing Minister V. Somana has been moved out of Bengaluru. BJP has reluctantly given tickets to few other sitting MLAs in the city after failing to find suitable alternatives. Well, there is a stiff competition between the BJP and the Congress in Bengaluru. Most of the times, there's hardly a difference of 3-4 seats on how many seats these two parties get in the city. Joining us right now, in fact, Mr. Ashwath Narayan. Sir, how do you feel the BJP will, in fact, do well in the city, or do you think there are challenges?
Bharatiya Janata Party can do extremely well. People look up to Bharatiya Janata Party. With all the challenges what our country has been facing in the backdrop of the entire world scenario, if you look at how the inflation has been very well controlled, the growth has been happening extremely well. If you compare with most developed countries or any developing countries, our economy is doing extremely well and doing right things. We are given topmost priority for ease of doing business. So the right things, right intervention, the right policies, the right laws have been brought up to enable and facilitate the things to happen very fast in all verticals, in all possible sectors. So thereby the Bharatiya Janata Party, under the leadership of our Honorable Prime Minister, it is doing extremely well in the center as well as in the state. The double engine Sarkar is doing extremely well. And in the state of Karnataka, if you see the state of Karnataka, the Bengaluru has emerged and evolved to be the #1 city in the entire country. You name the areas, we are extremely well placed. So Bharatiya Janata Party, government in the state of Karnataka, we have done well, and Bengaluru is prosperous. Bengaluru is doing well. So Bengaluru, the Bengalurians, the Kannadigas, they look up to Bharatiya Janata Party to ensure their future is guaranteed.
Bangalore with 28 seats is a crucial battleground for both the Congress and the BJP. JDS not having much of a presence here. The BJP wants to dominate this city, and that's why you're seeing a very aggressive and a high-intensity campaign by the BJP. Joining us, Bangalore South MP Tejasvi Surya. Tejasvi, over the last year or two, we have seen two major stories hitting national headlines. One, obviously, the floods in two zones of Bangalore, and then the pothole deaths that have happened in the last 2 years. It's also indication of the degeneration of the city over the last few years, perhaps, irrespective of which party was in the governance. The Congress says only we can fix it. What is the BJP offering?
Well, Bengaluru is a city that is growing fast. We are projected to be the world's fastest growing city consecutively for the next 15 years. And if there is one party which has thought of urban governance, urban infrastructure priority, right from the days of Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji, and now in a mission mode under the Prime Minister's leadership, it is the BJP. You mentioned about infrastructure for the city. More than 80,000 crore rupees of infrastructure work, whether it's metro, whether it is STRR, whether it is the suburban rail, whether it is the new international airport, whether it is 1,500 buses under the FAME scheme, under the Urban Renewal Mission scheme, under the Smart City Yojana, all of these are possible because of the double engine government that is working tirelessly for making the city the best in the world. In addition to that, the vision the BJP has for making Bengaluru one of the best cities in the world is something that is inspiring the young of Bengaluru, which is why wherever you go, when Smriti Irani ji came here to interact with the students of the city, whether it is when Jaishankar ji came to interact with young citizens in Cubbon Park, we saw so much of hope, optimism and positivity towards the BJP and the vision the BJP represents. So I am very confident that in the coming elections as well, people see BJP as the only party which can solve all of these issues. These issues that you mentioned are legacy issues, and the BJP has always tried to solve them. We have never run away from problems. The solution is a strong leadership, committed leadership, which can think grand and execute at scale for the people of Bengaluru.
The Congress party is dependent on its senior leaders to try and manage the existing seats. It is also hoping they can help the party win the other seats where it believes there's anti-incumbency. The party is also hoping that its poll promise of providing 200 units of free electricity to every household will give it some edge in the city, especially with the middle class. Congress is also highlighting rampant corruption in BBMP and crumbling infrastructure to win over Bengalurians. But the party is facing rebellion in some of the seats. However, Congress is still confident of snatching few seats from the BJP this time. Joining us right now, Mr. Dinesh Gundurao of the Congress, who's on a campaign trail here. Sir, Bangalore is seeing a very stiff fight between the Congress and the BJP. Every time, not much of a change except for 3-4 seats. How do these two parties fare this time? How do you think the Congress will do?
Congress, I think, stands to do very well in Bangalore city and across the state. And I think, basically, I think the trend is towards the Congress. And people have seen the BJP's governance for the last so many years. And I think a lot of disappointment and malgovernance and no planning, no discussion, no consultation, just ad hoc decisions. And basically, it's just driven by, trying to implement some projects and trying to take some commission out of the projects. So, nothing visionary for Bangalore going on right now.
Over the last 1 year, you look at the headlines from the city. It's floods in two zones, pothole deaths, and terrible infrastructure. What is the Congress party offering, sir, for the citizens?
When we were there, we were the ones who really, gave a huge amount of funds for the development of the city. And unfortunately, the government was dislodged. And then after that, subsequently, I think what has happened is there's so much of corruption going on that the amount of work that is sanctioned and the amount of work that gets implemented finally is a huge variation. because what is happening with the contractors and all that. And there's no, the Chief Minister is in charge of Bengaluru city. He's not even considered MLAs even once in his 3 years. No consultation, no discussion, and no BBMP, no BBMP elections, no civic body. So it's just officers and a few ministers sitting and taking decisions.
The JDS is a distant third when it comes to Bengaluru. The party, which is dependent on the Vokkaligas for any electoral success, has failed to grow in Bengaluru despite the city having a significant Vokkaliga population. 13 out of 28 MLAs in the city are Vokkaligas. Gopalaya moving to the BJP in 2019, the party is left with the lone MLA in Dasarahalli and is not pushing to corner more seats in the IT capital. All political parties are going overboard to impress Bengalurians. But what do people of Nammauru want? We'll find out on the other side of this very short break. Welcome back. Over the last few decades, Bengaluru has degenerated. While newer areas like Bellanduru and Varturu suffer from basic infrastructure issues, old areas of the city have issues like commercialization of residential areas and traffic pile-up. So what do people in these two Bengalurus want? Let's find out. Well, every time somebody talks about Bangalore, especially for people not from Bangalore, it's largely Indiranagar and Koramangala that gets a lot of focus, and also because of the IT crowd, Mahadevpura, Whitefield area gets a lot of focus. But there's also a large chunk of Bangalore, the old Bangalore, which really is also the place that has a majority chunk of the population in the city. What are their issues? We'll discuss that, and we are here at South Kitchen in NR Colony, a popular place. We'll have, the Prime Minister has chai pe charcha. We'll do some charcha with filter coffee here. Sir, naak coffee kodi namge. Thank you. Well, any discussion in Bangalore can't happen without filter coffee. That's what it's known for. And these darshinis, remember, are the hotbed of hot political discussion also. Sir, naak coffee kodi namge. Well, the coffee is ready, and we too are ready to understand what is the pulse of Bangalore, what are the issues that really matter to them. Let me take a quick sip. Absolute bliss, filter coffee. Anand is here. He's an old-time Bangalorean. We have several others as well. Anand, the city has faced several issues over the last few years. What do you think really matters when somebody goes to vote this time around?
See, Bangalore is facing many pressing problems, which includes traffic congestion, solid waste management, rampant commercialization, and of course corruption. Corruption at all levels. So, in the recent legislative session, the government introduced a BMLTA bill, Bangalore Metropolitan Land Transport Authority. So, we want that to be implemented in its true spirit, because integrated transport approach is the need of the hour for Bangalore. So, that is one thing we look for as far as city is concerned. Next is Bangalore is generating, as you know, 4,000 tons of solid waste every day. So we want to decentralize it. Whichever government comes, they have to decentralize solid waste management. And BBMP Act has been passed in previous legislative session, Act 2020. So BMLT Act and BBMP Act should be implemented in its true spirit, not just implementation. So these are some of the pressing problems which I look for before voting.
Yeah. Sir, you've been a long-time resident of Bangalore. You've seen the golden days of Bangalore and probably how the city has degenerated over the last few decades. When you go out to vote this time, what are the issues that will matter to you, sir?
Basically, when we were old Bangalore people, we have seen a beautiful Bangalore. There was no problem with traffic or vehicle population. Now, vehicle population has increased many folds, and proper infrastructure to meet that increased traffic is not met. So, whatever they are taking action, like building up, constructing new flyovers and everything, they are not planning. The flyover clears the problem, but at the entering and ending. Again, the traffic is going to
You're
get.
just moving the problem, not solving it.
They are shifting the problem from one end to the other.
We've seen a lot of issues over the last few years. ಈಗ ಯಾರೇ ಒಬ್ರು ವೋಟ್ ಹಾಕಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋದಾಗ ಏನನ್ನ ಪರಿಗಣನೆಗೆ ತಗೊಂಡು ವೋಟ್ ಹಾಕಬೇಕು, ಯಾವ ಇಶ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮ್ಯಾಟರ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಇದು?
ಇಶ್ಯೂಸ್ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಸರ್, ಈಗ ಮೇಜರ್ ಭ್ರಷ್ಟಾಚಾರ, ಅದನ್ನು ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಅದನ್ನು ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಜನಕ್ಕೆ ತುಂಬ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಯಾರೇ ಆಗಲಿ ಫುಲ್ ಮೆಜಾರಿಟಿ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಬರಬೇಕು. ಫುಲ್ ಮೆಜಾರಿಟಿ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಯಾವಾಗ ಬರುತ್ತೋ ಆಗ ಭ್ರಷ್ಟಾಚಾರನ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಾಂದ್ರೆ ಇವ್ರು ಇದೇ ಥರ ಆಪ್ರೇಷನ್ ಕಮಲ ಥರ ಮಾಡಿ ಏನೋ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಅವರು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ದುಡ್ಡು ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಬಂದಿರ್ತಾರೆ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ದುಡ್ಡು ತೊಗೊಳ್ಳೇಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಅದು ಇಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಬಂದಿದೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಒಬ್ಬ PO ಹಿಡಿದು ನೀವು ಎಲ್ಲನ ಹೋಗಿ ಸಬ್ ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಆಫೀಸ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ, BBMP ಆಫೀಸ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ, ಎಲ್ಲ ಫಿಕ್ಸ್ ಆಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿರ್ತದೆ. ಇಷ್ಟಿಷ್ಟೇ ಅಂತ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಫಿಕ್ಸ್ ಆಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿರ್ತದೆ. ಅದು MLA ತಂದ್ಕೊಂಡು ಓಟ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಆಗಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ಫುಲ್ ಮೆಜಾರಿಟಿ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಬರಬೇಕು. ಇದು ತುಂಬ ರೋಸ್ ಹೋಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಜನ.
One thing is very clear. People know the kind of issues that they've been suffering for the last 5 years or so. They're also saying that we want a clear vision from any party that comes to power, and they're saying the status quo can't continue. They're talking about having an elected civic body. They're saying we recognize for the political benefits these political parties ensure there's no BBMP election. They're also saying that we understand there's a nexus of contractors and netas, and that should be ended to ensure that city's infrastructure improves. Well, we are on Mosque Road here in Bengaluru, and it turns into a food street every Ramzan, and you have some fresh barbecue being made. And although it's very hot, the political situation is also equally hot here in Karnataka and Bengaluru. Several issues really that people of various areas in Bengaluru have flagged off, while newer areas have issues like basic infrastructure missing. The old areas have their own set of issues, small roads, the old infrastructure being inadequate, and also no new infrastructure coming up. Joining us a few residents of Fraser Town here. Sir, this election, what are the issues for you that you would vote on?
There's no proper road. There are a lot of potholes on the road. They're nearing election, they come and promise, and then they don't get back again. They promise and they don't. There are a lot of potholes on the roads. So and a lot of drainage, no proper drainage is done. A lot of and all this food mail also is there. So nothing very hygienic over here.
Okay, solid waste management is an issue you're saying.
Yeah.
Sir, lot of promises by various political parties. What would you consider while voting, sir? BJP says double engine sarkar. Congress is talking about freebies, lot of guarantees. They're also saying we'll come up with a plan for Bangalore. What do you consider while voting?
Good roads, good pollution, no any corruptions, completely corruption free. The middle class people is suffering a lot about not able to pay fees and all this thing. They are suffering. We want to be education should be free for middle class peoples, and for middle class whatever they promise they don't.
Is corruption an issue for you?
Yes.
Day-to-day issue?
Yes, Commissioner.
There you go. Several issues. Corruption is an issue. Also, lack of infrastructure is an issue. And not too many takers for the new parties that are fielding candidates this time round. While the government talks about moving startups and IT jobs to other cities like Mysuru and Mangaluru, the existing ecosystem in Bengaluru is hoping that the new government can fix issues in the city first. Well, in the early part of 2000s, it was the IT companies which were really bringing in all the moolah and headlines to Bangalore. But of late, it's the startups which have also brought a lot of name to the city. Also remember, they also have specific demands on what they expect from any government that gets formed next, whichever party. Already the parties are promising various policies for the startup world. But what exactly do the people within the startup world want? We are here at Learn. This is a Bangalore-based startup, and we'll try and talk to them, understand what is it that matters to them. We see such a huge startup crowd or boom in Bangalore, Kormangla, HSR, Bannerghatta, various other places. What is it that people here want from their next government?
I'm working here from past 2 years. So, but like I stay in North Bangalore and I have to commute to the South Bangalore. So, like it's a pain. Like everyone, most of the people who want to work in startup, like the other end of the city doesn't have much of startups, and this is there. And the commutation is like a biggest problem here, wherein like we spend hours together. Like mostly, like I spend around 2 hours just commuting in a day one side. So like it'll actually reduce a lot of stress on me, like if in case there is reduction of commutation time.
Yeah, absolutely. It takes away a lot of time every day. Various parties promising multiple things. Has anything appealed to you, or is there something specific that you think needs to be done?
I believe that the transport really does need a change here. The traffic route, I travel about 11-12 kilometers on a daily basis, but it takes me about an hour and a half to travel just one way. And now, from the past few days, I've also been running into a couple of rallies, which have increased my travel time even more. So
You hate them more now.
no, nothing, no, not that. But it's just quite an inconvenience to everyone around, and I think it shouldn't be happening. Like at least affecting everybody's daily routines. It's not a good thing.
It needs better planning from the Bangalore traffic police as well. Because of the IT world and the startup world, you also have a huge number of people coming in from outside Bangalore. There are other issues that's a huge challenge for them, apart from the commute, whether it's renting houses or the rules around it, or even ensuring that there is transportation that's affordable.
So I'm actually from Chhattisgarh myself, so I'm here only to work in a startup company. So the one big issue that I was facing initially when I moved to Bangalore was rents. So you have 2 BHKs for 60,000, 70,000, and rents increasing rapidly after you renew your contracts. So I don't think there's any proper laws that are laid out by the government in terms of how much can you increase the rent when a new contract is being built, or even if it is there, I don't know how many people are actually enforcing it on the owners, like how much are they charging rent.
As the founders of Learn with me, the government talks about making it easy for the startups. What is it that the startup world wants from the government, whether it's in terms of regulation, in terms of collaboration?
I think the number one thing is, of course, better infrastructure, right? As you can see, a lot of our staff, they travel a lot. We are an offline-focused startup, which means our teachers travel a lot. And having great infrastructure helps everyone, right? And that's the biggest problem. You have broken roads, slow construction pace on metros, and then, of course, the Bangalore floods. So I think improving infrastructure is probably our number one ask for anyone who comes to power. And I think in terms of policy, the government can do a lot more beyond IT. I think IT has been like the favored darling for Bangalore. But can we go beyond that? I mean, we as a startup work in education, we work with teachers, we want to improve their life, we want to improve their earnings, we want to give them more skills. So collaborating with government to do that at a very large scale will be something that we'll be very excited to do.
Yeah, that's a great point. And also, apart from fancy headlines, we will need concrete efforts to ensure that startups can bloom in tier 2 cities as well. Perhaps just building an incubation center won't be enough. More needs to be done. Political analysts believe there won't be much change in either Bengaluru's vote percentage or voting pattern this time. They assess that only a handful of MLAs who have failed miserably are likely to be punished.
Seat matrix has not changed much in Bangalore over the last 10 to 15 years. And this time also, I think the parties would be very happy if they get some more seats, in addition to what they got in 2018, and hope that they won't lose, as many seats. So that's in. That way, Janata Dal is sure of winning one seat, that is Dasarahalli, where I think the MLA is quite popular. Yeah. They might retain that seat. Janata Dal had got 2, so I don't know whether they will get more than one seat there.
Also, do you think all these issues that have cropped up over the last 2-3 years, we've had floods in 2 zones of Bangalore, we've had multiple pothole deaths. There's a serious discontent among people about the kind of infrastructure in Bengaluru. Some of it is degenerating, new infrastructure is taking a lot of time to come up. Do you believe these issues would be on people's mind when they go out to vote?
Definitely, especially in East Bangalore, in the constituencies like Bommanhalli, Madhepura, and a couple of other neighboring constituencies where the flood havoc was much more, and people really suffered. And they are very, very unhappy with this government because of the kind of lack of development So much of money, people's money has been spent on these projects, but what they're getting in return, you have the Chief Minister himself who is in charge of Bangalore. And, things are happening like this. Floods, is an annual event in Bangalore. And pothole deaths are, almost one every day. That kind of a situation is there. And people are really unhappy. I'm sure this will have have an impact on the especially the MLAs of that constituency as well as the ruling party.
While parties are trying to impress voters, the Election Commission is worried about a poor voter turnout. In 2018, the city saw 51% voter turnout, while in 2013, it was 57.3%. Any party forming the government next has the challenging task of reviving Bengaluru's infrastructure and ensuring that the state's cash cow doesn't suffer anymore. Along with that, the outcome of this election will have a significant bearing on when the long overdue BBMP election takes place. In Bengaluru, with camera person Satish Kumar, Harish Upadhyaya.